I've built hundreds of funnels, I've spent millions on ads, I've tested every scheduler, every form builder, every CRM, every funnel configuration you can poke a stick at, and this one converts better than all of them. And the reason it works has nothing to do with the ads, nothing to do with the offer, nothing to do with the closes. It's one layer of the funnel that's almost entirely everyone else is ignoring, and it's silently eating 15 to 20% of your entire revenue right now. Now, if we're just meeting for the first time, hi, I'm Chris Dufey. I built a multi-seven-figure coaching company. I started from scratch, ran, and then I sold it. And after I did that, I got a consulting offer to $1 million run rate in just 63 days. I then got an agency offer to $200,000 a month in just 90 days. And then I spent over a year inside of coaching businesses as their chief marketing officer, paying me retainers up to $25,000 a month each, working in those 7, 8, and 9-figure info businesses, many of the names that you'd recognize. And I've seen a lot of funnels, I've built a lot of funnels, and what I'm about to show you is one that outperforms everything that I've tested. Now, what I'm about to show you is a real client with real numbers, but I can't disclose their name because we sign NDAs, and I want my clients and partners to have competitive market advantage. But I'll show you every metric from the ad click all the way through to the closed deal, and I'll show you exactly where the money was leaking and what we changed to fix it. Now, quick context on why this example actually matters, because this client has no social media following, no organic content, no personal brand that's driving traffic. Everything you're about to see came from pure cold ads. Strangers clicking ads, which means if this works here, goddamn, it's really highly likely it's going to work anywhere else for you. Here's what most people think a high ticket business needs: good ads and a good closer. You get the click, get them on the phone, close the deal. And yeah, those matter, but they're 2 engines out of 5. And if the other 3 aren't built properly, you're leaving 15 to 20% or more of your revenue on the table straight away minimum. Because here are the 5 engines that we build for every single Rainmakers client. The first engine is what we call the offer engine. This is what you sell, how it's positioned, and how it makes it a no-brainer. This is the foundation everything else is built on, because if the offer is wrong, nothing else is going to matter. Engine 2 is the ad engine. This is how you get cold strangers into your ecosystem. It's the creative, it's the targeting, it's the copy. This is the traffic source of getting people that don't know you to know you. Engine 3 is the funnel build engine. Now, this is the actual infrastructure, the landing page, the application flow, the user experience from click to book to call. But most people are underestimating how much money lives and dies just in this one engine alone, because the 4th engine is the lead capture engine. This is the one almost nobody has, or anyway has decently set up anyway, because the way that you capture leads before they disappear, you need to qualify them before they hit the calendar, you need to route them to the right person and allow follow-up to be done at speed. This engine alone typically accounts for that 15 to 20% lift, and I'll show you exactly why in a second. Because engine 5 is the closing engine. This is your sales team, how they're structured, what intel they have before the call, how the call runs, and what happens after it. Because most businesses have engines 2 and 5, ads and closes, and they could be doing a mediocre job at best. But maybe they've got a decent landing page, so it's a partial engine 3. Maybe engine 1 is usually assumed, but it's not engineered. Engine 4 could just flat out just not exist. And that's where the money is hiding, because I'm going to walk you through all 5 with the real numbers to see how this stacks up. Now, before we touch ads, funnel, or tech, we start with the offer every single time, because the offer is what determines whether every other engine works or doesn't. So here's what I mean. You can have the best ads in the world, the most optimized funnel, the best closer on the planet. And if the offer doesn't land, if the positioning is off, the price to value ratio is wrong, or the mechanism isn't clear, none of it matters. You're optimizing a machine that's pointed at the wrong target. So when it comes to the offer, we engineer 4 things, and it's really the outcome, not what they get, but what they achieve. It's not 8 weeks to coaching, it's a fully built client acquisition system that generates leads and sales without you doing any of the heavy lifting, because nobody buys coaching. They buy the result that coaching produces, because after that's the mechanism. It's how does it work? Why is this different from the 47 other programs in your space? The mechanism is what makes the prospect to believe that this time will actually work for them, because it's not enough to promise a result. You have to show them the vehicle that actually gets them there. The price to value gap, which is the offer needs to feel like a steal at the price that you're charging, not because you're cheap, because the value is so clearly stacked that the price becomes a non-issue. Because when someone looks at your offer and thinks, how are they charging this little? That's when your close rate goes through the roof, because then there's a risk reversal, which is what happens if this doesn't work. If the prospect is carrying all of the risk, you're relying on their courage to buy. If you carry the risk, guarantees, results-based pricing, milestone-based billing, you're relying on your delivery, and you should trust your delivery more than their courage. Now, I'm not going to spend the whole video on offer engineering. That's a video just in itself, but I need you to understand that everything you're about to see in engines 2 through to 5 built on top of a properly engineered offer. If your offer isn't right, go fix that first, because everything else is downstream. So for this client, the offer was a $6,000 high ticket program, properly positioned, clear mechanism, strong guarantee. That was the foundation. So now with engine 2, the ads, this is where the traffic comes from. And so this is what we're working with this specific client. The ad spend was at $10,000 a month. The platform was Meta. The click-through rate we had at 1.9%. Cost per click, $4.80. And landing page visitors, we had about 2,080 per month. Now, I want to be honest with you, these numbers are solid, but they're not that extraordinary, not that great. A 1.9% click-through on cold meta traffic for high ticket is above average, but it's not a crazy outlier. I had another client this morning, she's at 5.9%. Story for another day. Now, at $4.80 cost per click is reasonable for a tighter high ticket targeting. Now, I'm showing you these numbers specifically because I want you to understand something important about how this system works. The ads are not the hero of this story. I talk to business owners every week who think that their cost per acquisition is too high because their ads aren't good enough. Sometimes that's true, but 9 times out of 10, the ads are doing their job. They're getting the click at a reasonable cost. The problem is what happens after the click. When we build the ad engine inside of the Rainmakers, we focus on 3 things: the hook, the first 3 to 5 seconds of the creative. This determines whether someone stops scrolling. It's not about being clever, it's about calling out your person with a problem they recognize. Then there's the creative format. For this client, we're running a mix of UGC style, talking head, and screenshot based creatives. Nothing fancy, no high production, just clear messaging that speaks directly to the ICP. Then there's budget allocation. We don't throw 10K at one campaign and hope. We run multiple variations and just let the data do the work for us. Then we cut what's not working and we scale what is. Simple, but most people don't systematically do that. So when one of my clients, a coach, was spending $30,000 a month on ads with solid CTRs, decent cost per clicks, good creatives, but his cost per acquisition was through the roof, he was ready to fire his media buyer. And turns out his ad engine was actually fine. It was his lead capture engine and funnel build engine were absolutely hemorrhaging leads between the click and the booked call. And once we fixed engines 3 and 4, same ad spend, he added $318,000 in cash collected in just 30 days. The ads didn't change, the infrastructure did, and that's why we build all 5 engines to work together. Then there's engine 3, the funnel build, and this is the actual infrastructure. So what the prospect experiences between clicking the ad and booking a call. Now, most people treat this as an afterthought because they throw up a landing page, they put it in embed a Calendly widget, and they call it all done. And that's like building a Ferrari engine and putting it in a car with no steering wheel. When we build a funnel engine inside Rainmakers, we're engineering the entire experience, which goes from the landing page, the structure, the headline, the social proof, the flow. Every element has a job. It's all on the page. It's either building trust, creating desire, or moving them to the next step. If it's not doing one of those 3 things, it's gone. Then there's the application flow. And this is critical piece where most people get wrong. How you transition from interested visitor to booked call determines your conversion rate, your lead quality, and your cost per acquisition. And here's where this gets interesting. This is where engines 3 and 4 overlap. The funnel doesn't end at the landing page. The booking process itself is the part of the funnel and where most of the money is actually hiding. Now, with a standard setup, Calendly, Typeform, whatever, the lead has to complete complete the entire form and book a call before you ever get their information. If they fill in their name and email, get to question 3, and then their kid screams, their phone rings, their boss walks in, whatever, they close the tab, lead, gone. You paid $4.80 to get them there and get nothing back. So let me show you how this actually works, because if you're spending $10,000 a month on ads, your landing page gets about 2,080 visitors in this example. And without what I'm talking about in Engine 4, you're converting 12.6% of those visitors into leads. That's 262 leads. But a bunch of other people started your form and didn't finish. They're interested enough to begin the process, but something pulled them away. And with a normal funnel build, those people, long gone. You've lost them. Scale that up, you're spending $20,000 a month, you're losing about 100 warm leads. $50,000 a month, 250 warm leads, all gone. These people who were engaged enough to start filling in the information, your warmest prospects, are literally walking out the door. Now, even if 10% of those recovered leads eventually close a $6,000 deal on a $10,000 ad spend, that's an extra $30,000 a month in revenue from lost leads that you've already paid for. And this is exactly why engines 3 and 4 need to work together. The funnel gets them there, engine 4 makes sure they don't disappear. Now, the funnel build engine also includes what happens after the booking. The confirmation page, the pre-call content, the expectation setting, every touch point between I booked and I'm on the call is a part of the funnel build. And we script out the confirmation page, the pre-call video, we set expectations for what the call will cover so the prospect shows up and prepared, pre-sold. But the biggest leverage in the funnel build is how it connects to Engine 4. So let me show you that. If you've made it this far, seriously, thank you. I appreciate you being here. But real quick, if you are a coach or consultant who wants to be able to build a self-growing business without bloated team, a big ad budget, or working more than 3 hours a day, then make sure that you hit subscribe, because everything I share here is built for founders just like you, because it's likely that you are done chasing bigger and ready to build better. So let's get back to it. This is the engine that changes everything, and it's one that almost nobody has. Engine 4, the lead capture engine, and it does 4 things that a standard funnel doesn't do at all. 1, which is stage capture, grabbing the lead before they finish the form. 2, qualification and disqualification, filtering who gets actually on the calendar. 3, intelligent routing, matching the right lead to the right closer. And then 4, speed to lead, what happens in the first 5 minutes after they book. Because let me walk you through each one of these. This is iClose. This is the tool that we use for the entire lead capture engine. It captures the lead the moment they enter their name and email and before they finish the rest on the form. So before the answer of the qualification questions, before they even pick a time slot. So if that person gets to question 3 and disappears, I've still got their name, email, whatever answered before they've dropped off, and they're not a ghost, they're a lead that I can now follow up with. Without stage capture, 262 leads captured per month. With stage capture, 312 leads captured per month. Same ad spend. Now, leads recovered that would have been completely lost, now there's an extra 50 per month. That's 19% more leads. Cost per leads without, $38. Cost per leads with it, $32. The difference, 16% lower cost per lead on the same traffic. Now, let me show you a real example of why this matters. The lead clicked our ad on March 3rd. They landed on the page, started the application, got to question 4, left. They were gone. Now, with any other setup, this person doesn't exist. We just paid for the click and got nothing. But because we captured their info at step 1, they went into our follow-up sequence. On March 7th, they got a text. March 8th, they came back, finished the application, booked a call. March 14th, they closed a $6,000 deal. That's a $6,000 deal from someone who was a ghost. If any other funnel, that money just does not exist. And a great other example is a client of mine, brand new coach, that's just getting beginning. He was worried that he didn't have enough leads. And when we set up stage capture and a follow-up sequence on the drop-off, he signed 7 new clients in his first week. Most came from leads that had originally already abandoned the form and they were already there. He just couldn't reach out before. Now, second piece of the lead capture engine is before anyone sees a time slot, they answer qualification questions. And based on their answers, one of 3 things happens. If they're qualified, they meet the criteria, they see the time slots, they book, the closer gets the full profile before the call. disqualified, they don't meet the minimum criteria, they get redirected to a different resource. Not rejected, redirected, because they're not just ready for this call right now. Or they're partially qualified, which means they might get routed to a setter instead of a closer and a different call type. So watch this. Here's a lead that came through. They answered the qualification questions, and right here you can see they don't meet our minimum criteria. In any other funnel, this person would be sitting on a closer's calendar tomorrow. My closer would know within 5 minutes that they're not a fit. That's a 25 minutes wasted, plus the opportunity cost of a qualified lead who couldn't have had that actual time slot. So instead of this person, they got redirected to a free training, they got value, and my closer's calendar stayed clean. And what the qualification numbers really breaks down into is a qualification rate in this example is a 58% pass and get to a book call. 42% get redirected to nurture, which gives us 181 qualified book calls per month, $55 per qualified booked call. Before qualification, roughly 35% booked a call were unqualified. After qualification, over 90% are genuinely qualified. So the close rate before was 19%, the close rate now 31%. And the closes didn't get better, the calls got better. And those disqualified leads, about 8% re-enter the funnel within 60 to 90 days because their situation changes. And now we've closed multiple 5-figure deals from leads who were actually originally disqualified. And that's the revenue most people leave on the table permanently. Now, third piece, when you've got multiple closers, you've got a sales team, you've got a decision to make with every lead. Who gets it? Most people just do flat round robin. They just evenly spread them out. Sounds fair, but it's almost stupid. Your highest value lead has a 50% chance of landing with your newest closer. Your trickiest lead might land with your best closer who would have crushed the easy deal. You're leaving money on the table because you're matching randomly instead of intelligently. And here's how we route inside of the lead capture engine. The top closer gets the highest value leads. Second closer gets mid-range leads, match their skill level. And so what's happened is when we switch from round robin, the top closer went from 26 to 34% close rate. The second closer went from 20% to 27% close rate. So revenue rep per month went from $42,000 to $61,000. Now, every closer got better because they actually got leads that were situated for them to close. Now, the fourth piece, the speed to lead. This is what happens in the first 5 minutes after someone books. When we respond within 5 minutes, confirmation, text, personal voice note from the closer, our show rate skyrockets. And the example gets to 84%. Because when the same lead gets a generic email and nothing else for an hour, the show rate drops to 68%. Now, 16-point difference at 181 qualified book calls a month. That's roughly 29 extra calls that actually happen at a 31% close rate. At a 6,000 deal, that's over $53,000 a month in revenue that would have been lost to no-shows. And so the way this sequence works is step 1, instant confirmation with call details, closer's name, photo, short intro video, with a step 2 being an SMS within 60 seconds. Step 3, closer gets a Slack notification and sends a personal voice note within minutes. Step 4, a reminder sequence at 24 hours, 2 hours, and 15 minutes before. Costs nothing to run, completely automated, worth $53,000 a month. And the no-shows, the 58% rebook within 48 hours through an automated rebooking sequence. Now, one of my clients hit 201,000 in a single month, and the biggest change was just no-show recovery. She was losing up to 8 to 10 qualified calls a week. We were able to get their show-up rate to 91%. 91% show up rate, which just equaled so many more sales without doing anything else differently in the marketing. Then there's engine 5, the closing engine. This is your sales team and everything that supports them. Now, most people think closing engine just is hire good closers. And yeah, that matters. But a great closer with bad infrastructure is still going to underperform. And everything we built inside engines 1 through to 4 is designed to set the closer up for success. All I'm doing here is turning that closer into a bear with salmon jumping in their mouth. And so think about our closer before the call actually starts. There's full qualification data and they know the prospect's revenue, team size, biggest challenge, budget range, whatever's actually needed in that prospect. Then there's lead scoring. They know how qualified the person is. The prospect answers to every question so they can personalize the actual call immediately straight away for them. And then the fact is that the prospect already went through a pre-call sequence that gets them showed up and prepared as well. So the closer isn't spending the first 10 minutes on discovery. They already know everything that they need to know. They can go straight into the conversation that actually matters. And so when you think about what that does to the close rate, if you think about what it does to the closer's confidence, they're not walking to a blind call wondering if this person's qualified. They know, and the prospect can feel the difference. And when we build the closing engine, we focus on the call structure, not a rigid script, a framework that adapts to each prospect based on the data that we already have. The qualification data from Engine 4 tells the closer exactly which pain points to press and which objection to pre-handle. Then there's team structure, who takes what calls. This is the routing piece from Engine 4 feeding directly into Engine 5. And then there's the right closer gets the right lead at the right time with the post-call follow-up. So what happens if they don't close on a call? The follow-up sequence kicks in, the nurture, the re-engagement, because not every deal is going to actually close on that first call. And that is why the closing engine needs to account for that. Because when you have performance tracking, close rate by closer, by lead source, by qualification call, by even time of day, when you can see this level of detail, you can coach your closers exactly when they're losing deals and what to do better next. Because the thing is, most of this closing engine work has already been done. The heavy lifting done in the engines before it. The pre-funnel sells them. The qualification filters out the noise. The routing matches them to the right closer. The speed to lead sequence makes sure that they're coming into warm. So by the time the closer picks up that call, jumps on Zoom, half the work, if not most of the work, is already done. And that's why the close rate goes from 19% to 31% in this example. So, all right, I know I've been geeking out for a while on a bunch of numbers, but this is the payoff, because let me show you what happens when all 5 engines are running together. So Engine 1, the offer, $6,000 high ticket offer positioned with clear mechanism guarantee. Engine 2, the ads, it was $10,000 a month ad spend, 1.9% click-through rate, $4.80 cost per click, 2,080 visitors per month. Engine 3, the funnel build with landing page, application flow, pre-call sequence. Engine 4, lead capture, 312 leads at a $32 cost per lead, 58% qualified, 181 booked calls, 84% show rate. Then there's Engine 5, the closing rate, 31% close rate, 47 deals, $213 cost per acquisition. Total monthly revenue, $282,000 on $10,000 ad spend. That's a 28.2% ROAS. Let that sink in for just a second. From a cold stranger clicking on an ad to a closed $6,000 deal, 5 engines, every number, nothing hidden. And that is why a compounding effect is able to scale you so much faster and with a hell of a lot less headaches. So see this side by side. Without the full systems, lead captures 262 compared to 312. The cost per lead, $38, now $32. Leads lost to drop off, gone forever, recovered into the booked calls. In the unfiltered system, 262 to the qualified, 181. Now the show rate was 68% in the old system, now is 84%. The calls completed, 178 to 152. The close rate from 19% to 31%. The closed deals, the important stuff now, goes from 34 to 47. The cost per acquisition went from 294 to 213, and the rep revenue per month went from 42,000 to 61,000. The monthly revenue went from 204,000 to $282,000. That is a $78,000 a month difference right now, $936,000 over the year, nearly an extra $1 million a year, just by going from what was already a good funnel. We already had a good funnel before. We knew it was doing really, really well. We just made it a hell of a lot better with some small little changes. And these are the small little changes that I highly suggest that you are able to do. But understand, no single engine did all of this. It was a compounding effect of all of them working together and having the right tech do the job, do the heavy lifting for you. And that's what a system does. There's no single piece is magic, but 5 engines compounding together produce results that no individual optimization can match. And to put this into perspective, I've seen these results across different niches, different offer types, different price points. This isn't just one client getting lucky, it's a system, because one coach used this system to be able to hit $1 million profit per quarter, an extra $1 million in his personal bank account every 90 days. Another coach, brand new, no following, only had 600 followers on his social media, signed 101 clients using this 5 system engine. He didn't need a massive audience, he just needed a system that didn't leak. Because then there was another client that his first launch ever collected $12,000 using this same system from scratch. 5 engines, little changes, big compounding difference. Now, if you take nothing else from this video, just take these 5 little things. 1, engineer an offer first. If the offer isn't right, no amount of ad spend, funnel optimization, closer talent, or any of that stuff is going to matter. Number 2, don't blame the ads straight away. If your click-through rate and cost per click are decent, but your cost per acquisition is too high, it's actually the system between what's happening from your ad to the actual closing call that's doing the problems for you. 3, your funnel doesn't end at the landing page. The booking process, the application flow, the pre-call experience, that's all critical parts of your funnel, and it's where so much revenue is leaking. Then number 4, build the lead capture engine, stayed capture, qualification, routing, speed to lead. If you only build one new thing after watching this video, just build this, because this is going to lift the critical numbers up that can make you so much more money without barely doing anything. Because then 5 is you set your closers or yourself, whoever's having the sales conversations up, to actually win. You're turning them into bears, salmon jumping in their mouth, so they don't have to be rock stars at what they do. Because if you are building your business on needing absolute A+ grade closers, having to close deals, that's shaky ground and something I don't recommend. I want B+ closers being able to get amazing results because the marketing and the system are all working together. So that's the system, 5 engines, and the results speak for themselves. Now, the tool that empowers engines 4, the lead capture engine, that's called iClose. The stage capture, the qualification, the routing, the speed to lead, automations you've been watching for my screen so far, I'll drop a link for you to be able to get access to that. Because if you're currently running Calendly or any other basic scheduler, I'd honestly just run iClose along it for a couple of weeks and compare the numbers. That's what I did, and the data made the decision for me. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, I just don't want engine 4, I want this entire thing built out, I'll pop a link below for you to be able to book in a demo, see exactly how this can get built and installed and running really easily inside of your business as well. Because let me tell you why I actually built this and why I came into this wanting to share this exact example with you. Because I've got 4 daughters. 4, and then growing up fast. And when I sold my last coaching business, I made good money, but I'd spent years being the guy who was always just finishing something or just always on a call. I was always in the business, always telling myself, next month I'll slow down. And one day I looked up and I realized my calendar owned me, and I built a business that paid well, but it had taken everything else. So now I've built a system that brings in leads, makes sales, and lets me do the work that I love the most. And that's what we build for our clients. And I didn't build this to create another packed calendar. I built it because I wanted to take my girls to their dancing lessons. I wanted to pick them up from school. I wanted to have lunch with a mate on a Tuesday for no reason. I wanted slow mornings to enjoy my coffee and not feel like I had to sprint to my laptop. I wanted a business that gave me my life and not the other way around. And that's what I want for you. Not just the revenue, because although, yeah, the revenue matters, that's fun, that's good. But the reason you got into your business in the first place is very likely you wanted freedom. You wanted to do work that matters to you, but on your terms. And somewhere along the way, business became the thing that took all that from you. And it doesn't have to be that way anymore, because a machine doesn't need you to babysit it. It runs. You check in, you do the work you love, you actually live your life. Dare I say, you actually have fun as well. That's the whole point. So you know the drill. I'll drop the links below for you. Get access to everything, and I'll see you in the next episode.
All right, that's it for today. And if this did hit home for you today, and if you are building a business that's meant to give you more money and more freedom, then I want you to be able to do two things before you go. One, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because it'll be a bummer if you missed out on everything else to come. Number two, grab the link in the description and be able to book in your free demo so you can see the exact systems, the exact process, and you can be able to install it inside of your business. Because remember, this channel is for coaches and creators who want a daily income, simple systems, and to be able to take time off. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.